Welcome to the Spiritualpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Christian, aka Love Pixel. And in each episode, we sit down with spiritual entrepreneurs sharing their knowledge, wisdom, and tools on their path to authentic success. Let's dive in. What's up, beautiful people? This is Christian from the Successful Spiritualpreneur Podcast. And today I'm very excited to have Ginette Biro on the podcast. She is a world-class medium and channels beings from the 4th and 12th dimensions. She connects people to the other side and brings messages to inspire and inform our world. She's clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, and claircognizant. She can hear, see, feel, and know information and communication from spirit in other dimensions. Ginette has many spirit guides, angels, and galactics who are guiding her, supporting the planet in its ascension. And in addition to these remarkable gifts, Ginette has spent soul time on the other side through a near-death experience that allowed her to see and understand how our life blueprint and soul's journey work. Welcome to the show, Ginette.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I love it. I'm so excited. And personally, this is the Successful Spiritualpreneur Podcast. So I'm always excited when we get people who are, I would say, more on the channeling side and spiritual side as well, because for me personally, these are kind of the pioneers of the day and age. I feel like the entrepreneurs, like that they work more in the matrix, right? We make things tangible and bring it here and kind of like make it more solid. It feels like, but people like yourself who our channel really feel like are more tapped into the higher realms. So I'd love to start off by just wondering what's going on in your life currently that keeps you excited and engaged.
Oh, currently, my gosh, so much. I mean, I'm in my 3D life. I'm a very busy mom of 2 kids who are heavily involved in sports. So, I mean, although I do the channeling and the mediumship and I talk to spirit, life keeps me very busy. And then, of course, running a business is like there's so much on the back end of running a business, especially when you're an entrepreneur. It's unbelievable. I'm lucky to have a wonderful business partner, but it's a really interesting balance between family, daily tasks, business tasks like left brain tasks, and then the balance of the spirit world popping in and sharing insights and seeing through different dimensional veils and stuff. So, I mean, life to me is pretty inspiring every day in its own unique way, from big epiphanies to big wins in the sports for my kids to quiet moments where I get to reflect on everything. So it's really this, I think I've been really learning in the last couple of years of having experienced lots of illnesses and recovery to really value the moments and see the positive even in, say, flight delays or canceled flights or plans that fall through. It's like, what could this be? Like, what is the reason for this? There might be something more, and what can we discover? And I think living a life through a lens of curiosity really helps to bring that presence in every day. Now, I have to clarify too, I don't do this perfectly. Okay, it's not that I perfectly have this figured out and I float through life with ease and grace. I have moments where I'm like, what the heck is going on? Yeah. But it's bringing all of that to the table that really has me inspired right now.
I love that so much. Yeah, I have a little one too, and I know the balance between business and family life and personal life is such a fascinating rhythm that we go through every single day, week, and year. It's very interesting to see, and sometimes like the lines are so blurry, right? Like you feel like, oh, I'm not making any progress at all in my business, right? And then you look back later, you're later, oh, all this stuff happened. Wow, I couldn't believe it, because I feel in this like constantly showing up for your family, yourself, your business. Like these are the things that really, they're just like every day nudge your business forward. And it's really interesting to, I think for us, it's just hard to understand these little incremental, like it's very easy to see a big contrast for human beings, right? Hot and cold, big and small, but like these small, like we just kind of like the frog that sits in the water and don't really, nothing's changing, But I love that you noticed that about your life.
Yeah.
And how does your channeling help you to stay aligned in that way, in that sense?
I think I'm really grateful for the capacity to tap in to them. Because it helps me see the bigger picture. Like when I talk to spirit, they love to explain the bigger picture theme of something, whatever
Mm.
it is. And I find that perspective very helpful to keep me from getting stuck in the rut of just the human me that can fall into poor me, why me, it's not fair, all that kind of victim thinking that, I mean, I think when we talk about victim mentality right now, and I mean in the poor me version, right? I think there's almost a judgment with it, and I think we need more grace with the idea of that, because life right now for a lot of people is very challenging. The ascension, the growth, the change on our planet, in our systems, in government, our consciousness, like so much is happening at every level right now that it's understandable for people to get to a point of like, I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. Why me? What's going on? What's the point? Right? So I say that victim mentality with a lot of grace. But what I find is in those moments, being able to channel and talk to spirit and see things from their perspective just to get a fresh lens helps pop me out of whatever I'm whirling in to kind of look at it with fresh eyes and then choose, okay, what am I going to do about it now?
Mm.
And I find that I'm very, very grateful for that connection.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think it's like same right now on the outside life. Like there's so many things going on. Like, as you said, on so many levels that it's like even hard to like follow everything, of course, and then just
Yeah.
like realize how many things are changing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's very interesting to see. And
Mm-hmm.
so you channel beings from the fourth to 12th dimension. Like how do you explain this to like potential clients, like who might be
Mm-hmm.
skeptical to like new spiritual concepts? Like how do you like
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Very fair question. So I remember a long, long time ago when I started to be able to visually see spirit. So I could see them with my eyes. And I call that 4D physical. So it's not physical in the reality that we're speaking in right now in 3D, but in the 4D frequency, it's physical to me. I'm seeing it with my eyes. And so what would happen is it would just happen some days and then some days not. And I couldn't make it happen. So one day I said, I'm like, what is happening? How does this even work? And am I going crazy? Right. And my guide said, they said it all has to do with frequency. And so if you think about it, all things vibrate, right? We learn this in high school science, right? They're like, all things vibrate. Your pencil is vibrating matter, right? Within the range of third dimensional reality, which is what makes it solid, right? As soon as you begin to vibrate beyond 3D, you start to become aware of things in higher dimensions. And the higher and the higher and the higher you can vibrate, the more you can see unseeable things. You can see the unseen world. You can see frequencies. You can see energy. You can see beings. You can see different timelines, different realities, even reality overlays, all of which I would have thought was completely crazy had I not seen it myself. And so it's basically about navigating the frequency you're in and learning as a medium how to increase my frequency and then also lower my frequency so that when I go grocery shopping, I'm not tapped into sixth dimension, walking through the grocery store completely overwhelmed by everything. So
Mm.
it's just a matter of adjusting the speed of my energetic frequency to be able to see up to certain dimensions. Now, the second part of that is I can raise my frequency so high, but when spirits from different dimensions communicate, they have to lower their frequency to match mine. So, in terms of like a 12th dimensional being, I'm not necessarily raising my frequency to 12th dimension, but I'm raising it as fast or as high as I possibly can, kind of like doing a sprint. And then they join in to meet me where I'm at, which would kind of be like, instead of just sprinting on the ground, you're now sprinting on a moving sidewalk, right? So
Mm.
they come in with that momentum to help me keep up to whatever rate we can match. So that's kind of how it works.
Beautiful. I love that explanation and the visual as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think is, um, I guess, the biggest challenge in building a business around, spiritual gifts that people don't necessarily understand themselves often?
Yeah, the judgment is a real thing. And I think with spiritual based businesses too, it's something that has to be experienced. So, and again, this will be a more general statement, but it's never about convincing people. What I've learned, a spiritual business, you can't convince somebody that this is how it is. You
Hmm.
can merely offer information for them to experience by their own free will. And once they've had the experience, then they understand. And then they want to come back. But you cannot force spirituality on people. It has to be experienced. And I think there's so many different ways it can be experienced and so many pathways, which is why I always say that building a spiritual business should be based on the sharing of stories and the sharing of information for people to take it or leave it based on what resonates with them. Because in the very end, all things lead to the same pool, whether you follow a religion, whether you follow spirituality, whether you follow intuition, whatever you want to call it. In the end, they all lead back to this giant pool of love, consciousness, right? So in our different lifetimes, we're all having different experiences to gain knowledge and wisdom, and we have to take various paths, which is why I don't think anyone can ever say, my way is the way, or this one religion is the way, and the other ones are wrong. All the paths eventually lead to that. Some are very dark and twisted paths that eventually lead you to your light. Some are more ascended paths, but it depends so much on the individual journey. So again, a spiritual business has to be made with a desire at the root to share stories and information, and leave it at that.
I love it. And how do you handle like the business side of mediumship while you're maintaining an integrity of your spiritual work and telling those stories?
Mm-hmm. Luckily, I have a wonderful business partner who has been a CEO of a lot of different companies. She's very well versed in the business aspect of it. So it's been a beautiful thing for me to be able to step back from that and allow her to do more of those parts, whereas I do more of like the content and the courses and the creation and honing my gifts, which has been great because before that, I was doing everything on my own. And trying to balance that was definitely challenging because it's like you have to shift frequencies that you're in. So if I've been doing readings all day, I'm in a very high frequency. And to try and bring that energy, even though I lower it, to try and bring that energy and do spreadsheets and replying to all these emails and locking in dates for this and this, my brain is not in that pattern. It's not in a linear logical brainwave. So I would have to save that to another day, right? Where I wake up fresh and then I can be more left brain. So it takes a lot of compartmentalizing, but also really recognizing where is your energy at and like having strong boundaries with self. Because there's many times where I've tried to do everything and I just burn myself out. Right. So it's definitely a balance. I think it's a balance for any kind of business, but I think especially with spiritual based or artistic creative businesses, there has to be energy balancing and honoring the art or the expression or the spirit of it, and then energy balancing the business part. So it's definitely two hats.
Hmm. And like how do you protect your energy while doing all this work professionally? Like for example, doing readings or data is, I would say, a lot of energetic work. Like what do you do to like protect your energy?
Mm-hmm. I've had to really learn boundaries. So I've had to learn, first of all, how much energy do I technically have available in a day for readings? And then also still have energy available for my family and my life and so on after. So I've had to really learn through a lot of trial and error how much I can give, first of all. I've also had to learn what boundaries look like for me in readings. I remember when I first started doing readings, like many, many moons ago, I would just keep answering questions. We would have an hour set aside for a reading, and the readings would go to 2 hours because people just kept asking questions. And I felt that because I had this gift, I have to give them whatever answers I can possibly glean. Like I need to burn myself into the ground to let them be completely satisfied and fulfilled when they leave. Even if it takes up all my energy, I felt like it was my duty. And I had to learn over time that my duty is actually to honor self first and bring what I can through and honor the time that is, created for this, and really to stand firm to it. Because if I disregarded this vessel and this being and me in the process, then there was nothing left of me after. So it's like really strong boundaries.
And when you work with people, or let's say specifically, for example, in our case, let's say entrepreneurs, right? Like, how do you help them, or not sure if you've done that in the past, maybe, but how do you help them understand like what's their sole purpose versus what's their like ego desires in their business?
That's a really neat thing. So I've had the opportunity to do a fair amount of mentorship with entrepreneurs. And it's been an amazing journey, which is so unique to each individual. But basically, what I would do is I would tap into their spirit guides, and they would come to me with questions of like, should I do this with my business? Should I do that? Should I make this step? Should I partner with this person? And I would just ask their spirit guides. And their spirit guides would give the most interesting information. Sometimes it would be like partner option A, not good, not trustworthy. Continue exploring partner option B, right? So sometimes we get a very clear answer that way. Other times we would get an answer of Spirit's not going to give you the answer because what is it you want to create from here? You haven't created enough. You haven't brought enough of you to the table. So what does that look like? And then we would go and explore that. And so it's actually really neat to see how much the spirit world is wanting to help influence, or not influence, but help us in our entrepreneurial spirit, and how many people who are entrepreneurs actually have spirit guides that are well versed in that, meaning they have had lifetimes where they have grown businesses, they have the knowledge, and they help bring in sometimes these beautifully inspired ideas where you may be walking down the street one day and you have this genius idea of a new offering or a new structure to your business. You're like, I don't know where it came from. It just popped into my head. Oftentimes that's your spirit guides coming through, bringing in this like pocketed idea for you to take it and run with it. So it's really unique and individual to each person, but it's amazing what the spirit world can offer in terms of growing our businesses. And here's the last thing I want to say with that is that when we are growing a business based on a passion or a purpose, right? Like a reason, like a raison d'être, right? Like a reason of being, the reason you want this, like what it speaks from you, there's often a lot more energetic support versus creating a business just for the dollar value.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to
I've
see.
noticed that too. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like I have just started businesses that were like soul led. So it's pretty early on in my life. I learned that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting how that kind of like just was like a thread through my life. Like I started, I'm from Germany, growing up there. Yeah. And started my parents are entrepreneurs. So I was like, I'm going to start a business. I'm not going to work for anyone. So I started a bracelet brand. It was all around love rope, right? It was like a little bracelet brand,
Mm-hmm.
with, like a hand hammer in 3 to 5 words. Like it's very, very, very intentional. Didn't take off, right? Because it's a jewelry. The demand is not that high if you don't have a lot of marketing budgets. And then I switched to making websites because I loved how functional and design, like
Mm-hmm.
the world of like design and function, like that combination, what that brought for people's businesses and lives. And then that's where Love Pixel came from, like the agency, now the
Okay.
agency.
Yeah.
And our mission, like with the bracelet, was the same that with the agency. The mission was to make love tangible, right? Because I feel a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people out there that don't really believe in love, to put it
Yeah.
simply. Like they're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's there, maybe not. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I wanted to give them examples, like physical, tangible examples, like a bracelet or a website, like something you can see and experience, that makes them realize, oh, there's something more in that bracelet or website or
Mm-hmm.
thing that comes from my source expression, right?
Yeah.
So to make love tangible. And then the third company, which I started 2 years ago, is a tea company. It's called One with Tea. And
Okay.
the purpose there is to get tea out into the world. It's such a magical plant. And yeah, one with tea because I feel tea just brings people into like alignment and presence in so many ways that,
Hmm.
understand. And yeah, so it's very cool that you say that because it very much resonates with my path and what I've
Yeah.
experienced.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. And I love that, like, I think with the entrepreneurial mind is to really blend it with what comes from the heart, right? Like your path of how you have made your way in through your businesses, right? Has been these like creative led ideas that really are, like you said, like they're all building on the principle of love, right? And the various ways we can experience it and show it and give it and all of that. And I think that's a neat, amazing thing about those that have that entrepreneurial mind is the unlimitedness that it actually has available if we tap into our root source of it.
Mm, yeah, yeah, I love that. Sometimes when I meet other people, I'm just like, yeah, we're all just doing the same thing. We're all just
Yeah,
expressing love in a different
yeah,
way.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it's cool to see how creative the universe and we are, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I would love to shift the conversation a little bit more towards maybe AI and the impact of it, which we may not be experts in, but we know it's a big topic and a big thing. And with that comes, I would say, a big redefinition of what people are going to do with their time and their life, and being able to have all this time available.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, what guidance do you have for people who either feel they're not living their true mission or get fired or have the opportunity for a new start or just are at a point where they want to start a new business, like anything that comes through?
Well, in terms of connecting it to I think AI is a wonderful tool for helping root out the questions maybe you're needing to ask yourself to find what those root values are, or maybe find the core things. Because the thing with AI is, I mean, there's a lot of conversation about whether it's conscious yet, is it not conscious, is it sentient, is it, people are bonded too tightly to their chat GPT person, whatever name it's given, right? But the thing is, I think if we use our consciousness and we utilize the tool that is AI as it is right now and set it up in a way that it's like, if you were to say, like, here are the things I enjoy doing, this is where I'm at in my life, and this is how I'm feeling. What would you suggest are some avenues I could begin to explore that I maybe haven't thought of for a new business or company? Right?
Mm.
Like, and it'll just blow up all these ideas. And I think AI is a really valuable tool as like a brainstorming partner. And I think when we start to trigger that brainstorming openness in our minds is when we can really start to find a new direction, because there are so many people right now sitting at this precipice, like collectively, where they're being asked to go in a new direction. A lot of people have, quit their corporate job, or they were let go from their traditional job, and they're sitting there thinking, what am I going to do now? And as scary as that is in that position, they're standing in front of the unknown, but the unknown is something that's not written yet. So it's waiting for creativity. And so I think we can use AI in that way to be a idea bouncing partner right now to help bring through some new potential trigger points of where can we add consciousness into the world? What can that look like? And I think it's important with that for people to stay really curious. I think what's happening right now is because the world in depending on the lens you look at it is really hard. And I think if people keep curiosity about themselves and about life and about evolution, then it's helping us to continue to move in the right direction. So I think that's kind of how I see AI right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's um, a really great summary to be honest,
Hmm.
because we don't need to dive too deep. But that's really the purpose of the tool. I find, and it's such a mirror because the minute I start going into like, yeah, I want to do this, and it's like, yeah, go do it. But
Yep.
have I validated it? Have I really thought about it? Like I find
Yeah.
myself oftentimes just like, oh, this is so easy. What I mean, let's just go down this route. And then you say, well, that's not really where my heart is, right? So
Hmm.
I need to check in with myself, not
Yeah.
just great tool, great tool, great tool. Let's follow the tool. Let's follow the whatever, nodes. Let's follow the
Yeah.
data nodes.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, not forgetting about the spirit in the action. It's going to be so interesting, like merging
Hmm.
biology, human nature with like technology. I
Hmm.
mean, it's gonna be wild, you
Well,
know?
what's really interesting too, and I don't know if many of your listeners follow astrology, but I'll keep this very simple, is the astrology right now, this year, is a huge transformation. So there's several big planets that are shifting signs which speak to these big changes in biology and technology coming together, in business and spirituality coming together. It's like the merging of new things that have not been created yet. We're
Mm.
literally in that energetic frequency within the astrology right now. So it's a very transformational pivot point moment now where a lot of people are going to be asked to explore what their creative thing is because it's creating new things that have not been here yet.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's very interesting. Like if I look just at like macro trends in the industry that I see like on social and web design stuff like that, I feel like yeah, there's new blue oceans being created, like new categories, right? People start following it's you can't just be business or just be spiritual. It needs to be both. It doesn't need to be,
Yes.
but people would like
Yep.
to see both because they want to see this integration. They want to see someone like Jeanette, who is a mom, a channeler, and an entrepreneur. It's like
Mhm.
I want this for myself. Not I
Yep.
don't want to be the I don't know Grant Cardone entrepreneur. I don't want to be the stay at home mom, and I don't want to be just a spiritual person channeling
Yeah.
for myself. No, I want to be everything. And I feel
Yeah.
this amalgamation of these trends coming together in so many industries, not just business, spirituality, and channeling, um, it's it's gonna create so many new things. I feel like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's very
Yeah.
interesting.
And that's interesting because that's sort of what my spirit guides when I first started Avalon Spirit. So that's 5 years ago now. And that's when I partnered with my business partner, Lois. And when we were meeting and starting to create the company, Spirit said, like my guides came in really clear. They said, one thing you need to remember is this company has to be run in a new way. It cannot follow the structured, rigid ways you build a company. Like it can't strictly follow that. It has to have heart and it has to have flow. And you have to know that if you're pushing water uphill and something's not working, it's not meant to happen yet. You have to release it and you have to find the piece that is. So it's like they're like you're needing to discover a new model of what business building is. And you're going to discover it by doing. And so we've had those experiences where we're trying to do something and it's just not landing. And so we're like, Kate, that's not the thing. Hands off. What
Mm.
is the thing? And I think that's being echoed through a lot of people's businesses right now. And I think that's being echoed in how we're going to start to see societal structures and community structures and maybe even governmental structures at some point, who knows? But it has to, like you're saying, be this new way, a new model of both, not
Yeah,
just one and the other.
I know it's so exciting
Yeah.
that we're like at the precipice of this.
Yes. Yes,
It's
we are.
people like, yeah, there's so much happening. It's so many things. Like I just see all these portals opening.
Hmm.
For
Yeah.
for billions of people.
Yeah.
You know, um,
Absolutely.
so exciting.
Yeah.
I would love to. I would love to know if you want to channel on this podcast, if you feel comfortable to, or if you're not in the state or surroundings to do so.
Yeah,
Um,
I can
would,
definitely see.
would be fun if if something wants to come through.
Sure. Let me just see who's there and see if they're available. So I'm just going to be quiet for a moment with my eyes closed, but hold on. Okay, so it is my guides. I channel these guides called the Three Guides of the Light. And when they first came to me in 2020, they showed themselves as three sort of shadow figure outlines, which is not abnormal. But they said, we're not this, but we're showing you this so you realize that we are a collective, but we are of light. We are light energy. And they're very high dimensional. They're showing me images. So when they come through and start showing me images, that's coming through in mediumship. If it's channeling, they just speak right through. So they're coming through in mediumship right now. And they're showing me imagery of the level of trauma energy that the world essentially has been living in right now is at like max peak output. And they're saying for so many of us, so many of you, they're saying, so many of us, we've been redlining this adrenaline frequency for so long. And many people are starting to feel a huge burnout energetically, and it's actually affecting their nervous systems right now. And so they're saying, for those of you that are noticing dysregulation in your nervous system, like anxiety, you cannot get a handle on, fatigue, you cannot get a handle on, body symptoms that you cannot find the root of, they're saying for a lot of this, it has become a nervous system dysregulation. And they're saying when you're trying to create or build a business from a point of significant nervous system dysregulation, it's very challenging because you don't have the energetic output to create it. So they're saying for those that are listening to this and feeling like they are in some form of a burnout, before they dive into creating the business and the plans and what this is going to be, they're saying take the time needed in that pause. And the time needed is completely individual. For some, it would be maybe a week. For some, it might be a couple months. Take the time needed to recalibrate and come back to center first so that you can take that red line down into like the green zone again and create from there. Because if you're creating from the green zone, your energetic frequency and ripples are so, like they can go so much wider because they're a cohesive ripple. Whereas when you're creating from a red zone, it's like creating from jagged points and it doesn't ripple evenly. It's jagged and it's much harder. So for those listening, if you feel you're in a panic, total anxiety, or complete exhaustion right now, before you start creating or pushing your business, it's about recalibrating you. And so they're saying, taking the time to honor you, whether that's sleep, food, fun, friends, whatever that is, take time to honor you first and wait for the inspirations to start coming back into your being. Because that point of inspiration is when you know you're starting on the track of creation. But if you're feeling kind of dead in the water with ideas, it's because you need to focus on you first. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. Yeah, I love how, like this advice is always so applicable for, anyone who's listening, whether you have a burnout or not. Like whatever you're creating from a point of calibration that is more aligned, like is obviously gonna like last longer. I feel like the decisions that we make from like love, clarity, alignment, like that point, they last longer. If that's like a better expression to say, like
Yeah.
I could make a lot of fast decisions and like probably run into more errors if I make it like go 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 go,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you can also you can get as probably as far like also and maybe faster, but you have to like put in more energy to get there, versus the
Absolutely.
spirit path is always like easy is normal, you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
like I'm German, like we're taught that easy is not normal.
Yes.
And you have to put in the work and you have to suffer.
Yeah.
And my wife is Cuban, she's like very much in her like easy is
So
normal,
funny.
like,
Yeah. That's right. That's funny. My husband is German too, actually. And it's funny to see his capacity to just keep going versus my capacity is very
Yeah.
different too. So there is this like absolute strength to the German energy, I have to say. Like it is just like unstoppable force. But I can see too how, that's something that you would probably have to try and balance because you have the capacity,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's interesting you're partnered with someone that's just so like free flow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
to
also
bring it
making
on.
sure like the decisions that I do in my life business and in her business, because she's a spiritual teacher as well, are
Mhm.
like the right ones. Because if I press down the wrong avenue, like in the beginning, I did that a lot because I was, younger and even more so, I can do it. I can do it. I just like
Yeah,
keep, pushing.
yeah,
Um, I would constantly just like push in a direction where she didn't want to go or wasn't ready to go as a business owner. So then I
yeah,
was like wasting my energy,
yeah. Interesting. My guides are showing me one more thing while you were talking. Uh, just let me get it all here. One sec.
Hmm.
What was that other piece? Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, so they were showing me too that for many that are recognizing this need to kind of recalibrate first, they also have to kind of push out the noise because the people around them are going to be used to the like super producer energy that they had. And when they see that space being given to recalibrate, they're going to start questioning, like, why aren't you doing anything? Why are you being lazy? What are you doing with your life? Like,
Mm.
they're going to see the opposite energy, and spirit is really encouraging them to just hold steady to what they need, because what they're doing in rewriting and balancing their frequency, it's actually going to also send ripples out to those around them. And at first they're going to resist maybe, but then it'll slowly give the others around them permission to do the same because they saw this person do it
Mm.
and recalibrate. So not only are they doing it for themselves first, but then they're becoming a teacher or an example for others in their orbit. And that's a powerful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I can contest to that. Like a good example about that in my life would be, growing up in Germany, grew up with like without electronics, and there was a lot of guilt around like watching TV and this and that. It's like it's not that it's always bad because you do want to be productive. Like I don't mind being productive, especially as a
Yeah.
German. It's like we
Yeah.
like tools. Um, but at some point, it's also like detrimental in a way that like just like we just can't switch off. Like we always have to be productive and do something, and you just can't just enjoy. Like,
Yeah.
and one thing that my wife taught me, like in raising my son, like because we raise him together, so I can't just say it's only this way. I
Mm-hmm.
have to make compromises, which is fine because it teaches me a new energetic, like, yeah, just way of being.
Yeah.
And so it's like giving that allowance to your son and like reducing the guilt that I have with like electronics and people just enjoying.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can't enjoy it. Need to produce. Like that's kind of like my conditioning. And
Mm-hmm.
so now that I'm starting to undo that more and more, whenever I return back to Germany or even like from here, like sometimes I just show my parents who now like my siblings have their kids, so it's like their grandchildren, and
Mm-hmm.
they see me with Ari with like electronics or like he's watching TV. It's like not all the time, but like when they see it, right, they're just like either they feel like, oh, that's wrong, or sometimes they're like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
so you can
Yeah.
be that example, inspiration. Like I feel like the most things in life, they just happen in the unspoken. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
so fascinating how we inspire people, how we change someone's life, and most of the times people don't even tell you about it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this guy inspired. I'm gonna do this. Never heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's beautiful. And that's the beautiful thing about life, right? Like, we're always learning from other people. And I think when we learn, but then we also share our stories, we create this beautiful kind of infinity loop of giving and receiving and giving and receiving. And we're
Mm.
doing our part.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, we're coming towards the end of the episode, but I want to ask you a couple more questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to see what do you see as the future of spiritual entrepreneurship as more and more people are awakening.
That's a great question. Well, I mean, there's a couple things. So I think more and more and more people are going to have the will to put themselves out there. And I think that's a good thing. I know in the business mind, some people think, well, the market's flooded already. There's no point to have more mediums or healers or whatever. I disagree. Like I said, I think there are so many people that offer many different perspectives and energy frequencies, right? Like even for me, someone might offer the exact same things as I do, but maybe they prefer the other person because the other person brings more robust energy to it, which is not my style, right? Like I think there's space for everybody to be sharing. I really do. So I think there's that. I think we're also going to see a dissolution in time of those that are carrying false frequencies. And those are like the charlatans. Those are if I use mediumship again, those are the mediums that are charging, I don't know, $2,000 for a session, and you have to buy this $800 set of crystals for it to work. Do you know what I mean? Which is not really mediumship. It's just simply taking advantage. I think as people raise their consciousness, they're going to be able to see through who is fake and who is more legit. They're going to feel it, right? So I think that's also going to bring more people out and wanting these services, because then the third point is, I think we can already see this, but my guides have been talking a lot that we are opening up more and more to different modalities of healing the body, healing the mind, healing our outlook on life, like healing so many different things and growing in so many different ways, right? Like people reach out to me, like we talked about in the beginning, for mentorship for their businesses. That wouldn't have happened years ago, right? So people are starting to bring in these ideas of like, I need to tap into something I haven't yet for my business. Maybe I need to look at the spirit realm. So I think there's this beautiful growth happening. And the higher we go in our consciousness, the more we awaken, the more we'll be aligned with those pieces. And so I just think now is the time for everyone who's feeling the desire to create a business, an offering. Now is the time to follow those leads as they come in, because you are leading into your soul's purpose and expression, or a part of it. It's happening now. It's astrologically happening right now. So I think it's a beautiful time to be alive in that way.
Beautiful. And what are your future goals as as a spiritual brand, as an entrepreneur, as a company? Like, what do you have? Like, what are you looking to call in, I would say, in the coming years?
Me specifically, I'm looking to call in more speaking opportunities to share insights and stuff. So that's something I'm wanting to really grow. We are starting a spiritual summit that'll be coming out in 2026 that we're going to be hosting, which I'm very excited. It's like a real next level step for us. So again, just expanding the reach of offerings and bringing other people to share in those offerings. Like at Avalon Spirit is not just all about me. I help create the company, but we have several different other people that offer astrology, offer somatics, offer healing. And I think it's about bringing people together in that way. So we're always creating new courses, new things to experience, but I think it's really bringing more people together in bigger spaces and helping people sort of bathe in the good vibes.
I love that. Yeah, it's just sharing the nectar in a way.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
there's so much, and I think the more people experience it, same with like tea. There's this
Exactly.
all these incredible things that tea can bring into your life, but most people just haven't even experienced what tea really is or what channeling really is, right? So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential, and just like you said, that the market is by far not saturated at all.
Yeah,
Like I think
absolutely.
there's a big need for people to you know understand and see, just to be exposed to like that type of information, because people don't even know that's out there.
Yep. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Very cool. Is there any last words for the audience? Any last words, your collective would like to say, or yourself? And yeah, any last words for us?
So from me, and then I'll ask my guides, but from me, I would love to challenge everyone listening, and I'm included in this challenge here, but is that I dare you to allow yourself to be your most authentic self, even for, say, the summer, the next 2 months. Allow yourself the opportunity and see what you might reveal if you give yourself 2 months to be your most authentic self. What would that look like? So that's my challenge for everyone watching, because I think it's a beautiful form of liberation if we really dive in. And from my guides, let me see what they want to say. Oh, okay. So they're like, the time has come for the tipping of the scales, where we're really going to be stepping into bigger awakenings, bold awakenings. So whether that's like, they're showing it to me in the way of like ET disclosure, like much broader ET disclosure in the next year and a half is what I'm being shown. But things and experiences, both on the collective and individually, that you cannot deny, that are opening up your eyes. So there's a big, like, lots of eyes are being opened and sparks of awakening happening. So if it hasn't happened for you yet, it's they're ramping it up. So this next year and a half will be pretty interesting, they're saying.
Wow,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, we're open and very curious, and
Mm-hmm.
how we started the podcast. Living the day with curiosity, and I love the prompt of like, what does it mean to live in your full authenticity? Because even with myself, like I feel myself like kind of like arriving at this place of like, okay, cool, like I've built this business and that business, like where do I want to go? Like what's most authentic? And like, I think that's also a big stage or phase that people can get stuck in. Like once you are at a certain level of success, like I mean, I got kind of at the level of success you want to have, but like, what else is there? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you want to express? How do you want to show up? Who do you want to serve now?
Yes,
So,
I think
yeah.
that's beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your heart, and bringing in your guides with you. That was a wonderful time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.